The entire world economy is propped up on the backs of desperate artists. Okay, so what do I mean by that? I am not going to wade into the AI conversation. I think that's too politically charged, but I think once I dive into this, you'll see where it fits in. Okay, so first of all, what is the global economy? I mean, people can define it in all kinds of different ways. I think we all know there's the stock market and the mega cap stocks, which are the Magnificent Seven, Google, Meta, and Apple, so forth, all of those. A lot of funds throughout the world, hedge funds and so forth, have investments. A large part of their portfolio are made up of these big stocks. Okay, so what are these big stocks selling exactly? I think we all know. They are selling computers, software, entertainment, and a lot of these things are computers and software that are specifically made to entertain or to market and advertise entertainment products. Google, for instance, might be a search engine, but of course they also own YouTube, which is a big advertising kind of platform and a platform for distributing creative content. They also host ads. Amazon might be a great marketplace, but it started as the world's largest bookstore, and it still is. Also sells a whole lot of toys and all kinds of other things. And the AWS servers host a whole lot of content. I could go on and on. I mean, Apple provides an operating system that hosts a lot of creative software, and they've got the App Store, which sells a lot of games that a lot of them are made by indie developers. Meta needs no introduction. I mean, they own Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram. They also host ads. Microsoft, of course, it has Office products, a lot of which are used by writers and other creatives, marketers, and they even sell games such as Minecraft. Nvidia, of course, makes graphics cards. A lot of them are used for gaming or for high-end art software and creation. Other hot stocks like Reddit, Netflix, and Adobe, of course, are also involved in creative or entertainment products, services, distribution, and so forth. My point with all this is that there is a huge, gigantic demand for the products and services that these companies offer. And I'd say that a lot of it is driven by creatives, either the consumers or the people creating stuff. And I'm not just talking about professionals. I'm talking about hobbyists, students, retirees, people that are just kind of dabbling. There are so many of these people. A lot of them are amateur at marketing, or they're just shouting into the void of social media, hoping that someone will notice them. But to these big companies, it doesn't matter. They are making the money off these people. They're the ones viewing the ads. They're the ones buying the ads. They're the ones buying the products and using them. Even if they don't create anything in the end, or what they create doesn't get noticed, it doesn't matter to these companies. They're selling them. So social media, for instance, I think more and more average people are kind of flooding off of it. But who is motivated to stay on social media, to try to become an influencer, to try to make viral content? It's people that have something to sell, people that want you to look at them and pay attention to them, that have some kind of creative content that they're trying to have be noticed. Artists and writers call it shouting into the void, and that's what they're doing. They're just screaming out there, hoping somebody will notice them. And I think that increasingly more and more, those are the users of Facebook and Twitter and Reddit. There's dead internet theory where people say it's all bots. I don't think it's quite true yet, but more and more I think it's bots and creatives struggling to get noticed. And of course, indie authors and indie artists do support each other and do look at each other's content, but it's starting to become more and more of an echo chamber or a circle jerk. So what individuals are buying expensive computer equipment and expensive software like Autodesk and Adobe products and these big operating systems? If they're not a big corporation, what individuals are buying them? Well, again, it's creatives, people that are trying to make high-end art, film, games, things like that. And then ads on Amazon, Facebook, and so forth. It's authors, it's marketers, it's game makers and toy makers, and so forth. To be clear, I am including all of the amateurs and all of the hobbyists as well as the professionals. I think the professionals are the tip of the pyramid or the iceberg. Below that, okay, we have parents and teachers like urging students to become creative, or urging their kids to be more creative and to just create and create. Some of them do, some of them stick with it, some of them don't. They grow up, they become adults. The adults might later on become like kind of dissatisfied in their careers or have a midlife crisis, and then they pick up that guitar or they pick up the pen and they explore what they can do creatively. So there's a whole contingent of those. And then we've got the retirees, the older people who are done with their career, they have free time, and so they decide to write that memoir or to start doing some carpentry or welding, and now they're an artist as well. I think that people underestimate the numbers, the vast numbers of people that are doing these things. Again, some of them might just be treating it very casually, like a hobby. They're not all struggling to get noticed. They're not all trying to win the Olympic gold medal, but they are searching for an audience in any way they can. So they are sometimes buying ads or using these platforms, buying these products. The arts are what people are passionate about. Just about everybody spends their free time and their free cash on entertainment, whether it's films, TV, books, games, comic books, cosplay, board games, dice games, collectibles, and so forth. Everyone is kind of addicted to one of these things, and a lot of people think they can contribute to it or just kind of add to the noise. There are also a lot of self-proclaimed gurus out there selling it as a way to have fun with a career. And so they're saying, oh yeah, you can get rich quick, or you can earn a living being a full-time author or a full-time artist, when in reality very, very few people do achieve that level where they can do that. That's just a difficult goal to aim for. And if you're going to aim for that, yeah, you're going to be buying a lot of these products and services and spending money on ads and so forth. So for instance, somebody who wants to make games, maybe they become a game artist, so they buy an expensive computer. It's got an NVIDIA GPU, it's got a Microsoft operating system, they load it up with Adobe and Unity software and so forth. These are all kind of expensive programs. And maybe eventually they make something that's sold on the App Store, owned by Apple, and then they market it on Google and Meta and Facebook. And in the end, if they're extremely lucky, maybe they can afford a Tesla car. Alternatively, like maybe they want to become a writer, so they buy a MacBook, and then they're sipping lattes in a Starbucks, writing a novel. Eventually they publish it on Amazon, they sell it there. Again, they're buying Facebook ads and so forth. And if they're one of the extremely lucky few, maybe it'll be optioned, become a film, and it will be distributed on Netflix. You'll notice I'm name dropping all these, gigantic Fortune 500, SPX 500 companies, because these are the ones who are really profiting off of all these desperate hopes and dreams that people have. Our entire global economy is centered around people's desire to be creators. And I think if you strip away all the tech bro jargon, all the financial jargon, this is the truth underlying all of it. Everybody wants to be a creator. Everybody feels passionate about the arts. So, is this kind of business model sustainable? I think on the one hand, it's wonderful that we're in a socioeconomic paradigm where such a large percentage of our population can afford to hope and dream to this degree. It's incredible. It's probably unprecedented in human history. On the other hand, I wonder if we're becoming a victim of our own success. I think it's easy to see there is some stupid money out there chasing these mega cap companies while actual artists starve or struggle to survive financially. And I think it's also easy to see if the wealth gap keeps widening, eventually creative people or even hobbyists will put that aside and they'll just need to struggle from day to day to survive. And they'll stop throwing money at ads and buying expensive software and so forth. And in that case, maybe the whole house of cards will collapse. These are strange times we live in.